Welcome to the Barker Podcast Collection.
Welcome to the Not Watching Podcast. My name's Rob Howard, and this week I'm joined by
Ian Bruce.
So, yeah, there's been an awful lot of movies on Netflix. There has been all year, actually, but I feel like we're reaching peak movies on Netflix almost, like, because a lot of the big players that would be releasing films that we would normally have to pay to go and see in cinemas, they're all coming up. They're all showing up on Netflix. So let's start off with 22 July or 22nd July by Paul Greengrass, which is it's a true life story of a very unfortunate event that occurred
It's a bomb that
Norway.
happened in Norway in 2011. Jesus, it was that long ago. Where
Feels that... Is it only that long ago, is what I was thinking.
Okay. Where a person, and I'm not going to name him because he's just a C word.
Yes. Okay.
Detonated a bomb outside one of the parliament or government buildings and then went to an island where, a youth camp for a youth camp for politically minded youth were there having a peaceful evening and fun, sport and gatherings and all the rest of it, called Utoya. Now I know how to pronounce it correctly, and just massacred a lot of them. I do remember at the time, as everybody does for this kind of horrible things, and it is a difficult watch. The performances of everyone are exceptional, and again, like the thing we were talking about last week, or we'll talk about next week, instead of having subtitles, which I would expect for a film set in Norway, it's basically Norwegian speaking English, it feels like. Which is kind of weird because they pronounce all the places correctly, but then either side is English. And I know that English is spoken in many countries, of course, but that was just a bit strange. But
his reason for doing that, I'll just interject quickly, is that he doesn't speak Norwegian, so he thought in order to do the story justice, he needed to understand what everyone was saying.
That's fine. That's a great reason. What a great reason. What it isn't is, let's make it all English so we can sell it to the US. So that's, maybe it is, but I like that narrative for that. There are some exceptional performances, Christ. I don't want to big up the absolute idiot that did it all, but the person who plays him is chilling. Is absolutely chilling. And one of the kids that survives, who I think is an amalgamation of kids that were there and not a real character.
Oh, okay.
I think I do try to read up on these things, but I can't get very far with this.
I'm pretty sure that he's like they say at the end what that chap did. So I mean, maybe not everything like that happened to him, but he was based on a real person,
right?
And he's studying politics or something now.
I couldn't find his name in the... Yeah, anyway. But
Sviljar Hansen.
Yes, but his... it's an exceptional performance from that actor, really. I was really quite moved by that.
Yeah, I completely agree. Sorry, I'll let you carry on a sec.
Yeah.
But the... Paul Greengrass has a way of doing this, of getting to the heart of the matter. He did it in Captain Phillips and
Flight 93.
But particularly in Captain Phillips, when he's all shaking and stuff after the ordeal.
Yeah.
Like that really got me in the feels then, and it did it again in this with that guy's performance.
Yeah.
Because he really does, despite showing it so stark and documentary like, I feel like he really cuts into and gets to the heart of the matter, really, and the emotional weight of it all.
And like other people have done, the best kind of films, I think, is where I feel like I'm inside the characters' lives rather than watching a ton of shit blow up. Because it's interesting to be in those worlds that you're never going to be in. Interesting is the wrong word for something like this, because that makes it sound like tragedy porn, which it isn't. But he does an amazing job of just even the Prime Minister or the Prime Minister, who's really not in it very much, but you do feel like he was he genuinely felt and said and meant the things that he was saying. It was good. For me, it's a welcome apology for the fourth Jason Bourne movie.
For sure.
I forgive you, Mr. Greengrass. You may return to my list of likely to watch.
Yeah, I feel like for that he was caving to pressure, I think, with that. The studio's checkbook, I imagine, as well. But yeah, I mean, this is much more a worthy endeavour. It's worth mentioning as well that this film doesn't dwell on the event itself, but more on the aftermath of it and the subsequent trial and how the country dealt with the perpetrator of it.
Yes.
And the victims.
Yeah.
So,
and it's a very... I mean, Flight 93 was a good film, but the ending of that was not a happy place.
No.
But this offered a great deal of hope at the end, and I was genuinely moved by stuff there. And if you can stomach it, it's worth like reading up on the trial and stuff, because a lot of kids who had suffered life-altering injuries were just fucking strong as fuck when they met this guy in the courtroom, and it's an amazing read, really.
Yeah. Paul Greengrass said that apparently he made the film because of the rising right extremism that was starting to prevail in certain parts of the world. Yeah. And he felt like this was a good way of kind of examining that and understanding that, because in order to fight it, you have to understand it. And unfortunately, and that was his motivation. It wasn't to revel in the misery of what these people have gone through.
Which
obviously
may not be the case for the other movie based on this coming out this month. Have you read about this?
I heard there was.
There's a Norwegian one called U-22 July or June 22nd, July 22nd. Pardon me. But right. I think it's 94 minutes long, and it's a real time. A single take in quotes version of what happened on the island, and that doesn't pull any punches by all accounts. So
okay. Utoya, yeah. It's in the more like these, on IMDb.
Yeah.
Oh well, I will keep an eye out for that or not. Although it's got very good reviews, so maybe that is worth seeing.
I think it might be more. Well, it will be more personal, of course, but anyway,
that's one hell of a double bill. If you're feeling too happy,
if you're too happy after summer, come and watch how these people's lives were changed by a madman.
Yeah. Or you could watch Apostle,
which I'm trying to, but it's never liked for long enough for me to get past the first 20 minutes.
No, so Apostle stars Dan Stevens and is notably directed by Gareth Evans, who gave us The Raid and The Raid 2. However, this is a completely different story of a drifter who goes on a mission to rescue his kidnapped sister from a weird religious cult on an isolated island, to paraphrase the IMDb description. Michael Sheen is the leader of this cult. And Dan Stevens is on absolutely unhinged form on his way to this island to try and rescue his sister. So, don't want to go into this in too much detail. Suffice it to say that they are worshipping something, and it doesn't really pull any punches. You do get to see it all, and there is some incredible violence and gore in this. The natives of this island have a very particular way of dealing with things. It brings to mind stuff like The Wicker Man, a bit of Lovecraft, and it's yeah, it's pretty grim stuff, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'd say persevere and try and find.
I will try again after this.
yeah, give it a go. But it's over 2 hours. So, but like there's definitely times when you can tell this is by the Raid guy. Like the way that he deals with action, the way he moves the camera, it's very kinetic in places, and yeah, there's just a lot. I've seen a few films this year. One of them, The Endless, which was allegedly Cthulhu inspired or Lovecraft inspired, dealing with some kind of strange cult, some supernatural goings on. Mm-hmm. I feel like this is much more. It definitely was much more what I wanted in that respect than some of these other pretenders or some films that have been given that kind of badge. I feel like this one is much more deserving of it.
Okay.
So
nice.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed that.
Alrighty.
Yeah. So try and watch that. The next one on Netflix from another awesome director was Hold the Dark, which this is Jeremy Saunier, who gave us Green Room and Blue Ruin.
Yeah.
So this stars Jeffrey Wright as an author who goes into somewhere in Alaska, I believe.
Yeah.
To track
down the pack of wolves who have stolen this woman's child or taken this woman's child. Sorry, go on. I interrupt.
Did you see it? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have, absolutely.
Did you like it?
I really, really liked it. I thought he was amazing. It's got what's his name from
Alexander Skarsgård.
Yes, he was disturbing AF, as the kids would say, and the rest of the cast. All of it felt like the places it was depicting. None of it there was not a lot of sense in any of it, to be honest.
There was some.
Why was there a police
stuff
thing for these like 4 houses in the middle of what? And then he's got a massive fucking thing he's just where did he get that from? It when it started, I thought it was going to be a kind of not necessarily a romance movie, but kind of about somebody finding themselves type thing. Yeah. And that went away pretty damn quickly. Within about 15 minutes, I think, it became I don't know what's going to happen. What's going to happen next? And I really like movies that are in a place that I don't really know, and it's as soon as I start thinking I know something, it just pulls the rug away and goes, no, now he's going to open this door above his front door, and there's going to be a lot of red everywhere. That was it. It left me speechless in a good way.
Yeah, I think one of these, again, we were talking about a gory film a minute ago, but there's one thing that Jeremy Saunier is good at, and a lot of his films have like a very practical approach to gore and sort of body destruction of various kinds. Most of that's on display. There is a sequence in this film, and you'll probably know the one I'm talking about, that seems to go on a bit, but is quite immense in its just the setup of it. It's a shootout, basically, but it's very well done.
Do you mean the shootout or the massacre?
The bit where he's kind of on an elevated position, shooting onto the cops.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about a minute ago.
Oh, yeah, right, okay, so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, where did he get that gun from? It's just like, they probably don't have lighting for 6 months of the year, and he's got this fucking, that was completely unexpected, and although I wasn't losing interest, but I was thinking, maybe I'll come back to this, nothing's really happened, nothing, I don't feel like, where's it going to go? And then that happened, and I thought, right, well, I'll settle in.
Yeah, that was kind of the turning point for me. I was starting to lose interest a little, and then that all happened, and I was like, wow, holy fuck, they're really raising the game here a bit. I mean, it's kind of It's kind of a grim story, really. I don't think it's quite in the same league of his earlier work, but it's definitely worth a look. It's definitely at the higher end of Netflix movies for sure, I think.
Yeah. No, it was great.
So, yeah, cool. All right, moving on. I actually went to the actual proper cinema last night and watched First Man, which is the story of Neil Armstrong attempting to land on the moon. We all know he did. So no spoilers. So yeah, this was really cool. This is directed by Damien Chazelle, who did La La Land and Whiplash. All films about music, really. There's not much music in this one. The sound is amazing, though. It's very remarkable right from the start, before you even see anything. The noise of the craft that he's on, from his very early test flights, right up until the grand event.
Yeah.
But yeah, this film doesn't really revel in the grandeur of space flight. It's much more about the nuts and bolts of it. Most of the flights that you see are all shot from inside the cockpit.
Okay.
As these guys kind of get basically blown up into space in a little rusty tin can that's held together by bits of string.
Yeah.
That's the kind of feeling you get. It's like World War II sort of construction, some of this stuff, all rivets and bolts. And there's a bit where, one of them's, has anyone got a what's it, like a penknife,
Right.
Anyone got a penknife so we can just fiddle with this bit? It's like, my God, you're going to send someone into space. Yeah. So, obviously Ryan Gosling's on particularly vacuous form in this, but it suits him to play this kind of part where. What
do you mean by vacuous? What do you mean?
Just like he has that kind of expressionless sort of thing that he does. He did very well in Blade Runner. Just where he seems kind of expressionless, Oh,
like he had in Drive?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That. He does that very well. And yeah, it works here, because he's very internalized. He's got a lot going on. Basically, these guys are just basically they're sort of in a little bucket with a nuclear bomb underneath them, blowing them up into space while they try and do maths equations to save their lives.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a crazy thing. It really puts you off the idea of space travel and the whole kind of pointlessness of it all and madness. But it's a great film. Claire Foy is great. A lot of the humanity of the film is all kind of channeled through her and her performance. And there's a really good supporting cast as well of people that you'll know and like from other things. Cole Chandler, Corey Stoll. You'll recognise a lot of them.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, it's really good movie. He does mine the music side of it as much as possible. There's some cool 2001 shots. I'm really gutted I didn't get to see this in IMAX because apparently the reveal of the IMAX dimensions is supposed to be spectacular. I just couldn't make the times work for the one at Waterloo. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm really glad I saw it. So they do. Yeah, the musical bits they do. There's a bit where someone references, anyone got a tape or any music, and so it sends a tape across to him. They put it in a tape deck and it's floating around.
Yeah, nice.
So that was quite cool. And I wanted to segue from that, a film that's just come out that is set 50 years ago, to a film that came out 50 years ago and that's set, I don't know, a few years back or further on than now. 2001: A Space Odyssey. I mention this because I actually went to a screening of this at the Prince Charles Cinema in Leicester Square. It was a very unique situation. This is the unrestored version that Christopher Nolan has put together. Apparently, recent versions have been cleaned up quite a lot on DVD.
Right.
So this one has all the artifacts still remaining. Have you ever been to the Prince Charles Cinema in Leicester Square?
I believe I have. I think I had the misfortune of perhaps seeing Clash of the Titans there.
That's the kind of film you would see there, yeah. It's very odd the way the seats go up.
Yes. If I remember, it's quite dramatic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, what is going on?
Yeah, it's like a cliff. It's not a... Yeah.
It's like you're looking up at a tunnel.
It's like somebody stuck seats onto a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, so I'm looking up at this screen, playing 2001. There was an overture at the start. There was an intermission in the middle.
Nice.
And at one point, like, the reel got misaligned, so the top was playing at the bottom. And someone actually had to go and give it a kick. They must have done
that just for the retro feel about it. Right, okay.
I think it almost feels like they might have done it on
that's
purpose.
Glorious.
And of course, it got a little clap when, it got realigned.
Yeah.
But, I have to make this confession now. I've never seen this film before.
That's all right.
So it's just one that escaped me for some reason. I don't know. Everything I heard about it, it looked very heavy. And it is, it's quite, it's none of it's really explained. You can kind of come to your own conclusion. But I enjoyed it. I didn't realise quite how much the How stuff played for laughs. All of this, sorry, Dave.
Yeah.
I can't do that, Dave. I mean,
all those memes you can enjoy now. Jesus, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I was kind of aware of that. I know, like, the Alexas and the Siris of this world do respond to those commands in typically sarcastic fashion. So I was vaguely aware of it. And obviously, like, they really played that. They really borrowed that from for Red Dwarf, didn't they? Yeah. Obviously, that was the whole thing was very much inspired by that. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I found out some interesting facts because I sort of watched this as part of this thing I'm doing on this Unspooled podcast where I'm going through like the AFI Top 100 and watching some really old shit. And they do a really great podcast each week where you can kind of play along at home, like watch the film, then listen to their show about it. And they'll have interviews with some of the original people involved. And with 2001, they were kind of going into the fact that the screenplay was written by Arthur C. Clarke. They actually were privy to a lot of NASA designs that never got made. And this was it's kind of it's like a little time capsule of like where NASA may have gone had they not kind of given up after getting to the moon and stuff. So it's really interesting watching both of these films like in such close proximity. So I just wanted to sort of mention them in the same breath, really. But yeah, they'd probably make quite a good double bill if you wanted to.
Okay.
See where we might have gone after. The other thing that's quite funny about 2001, is like the screens in the back of the seats, the iPads, all of this stuff has come to pass.
Indeed.
except the bit about flying to Jupiter.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, that's all I got on that. I must confess, I was a little bit poorly the other day, so I have watched a metric shit ton of films since I last recorded.
I hope you're feeling better, mate.
It was a minor malady, no biggie.
Man flu.
It didn't prevent me from watching like 8 films.
Of the ones remaining on the list, I have seen none of them apart from Coco, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, Coco's brilliant. That's definitely in my top 10 this year. Really great story. Didn't see the twist coming. Great songs.
Coco's the one with the voodoo shit, right?
Yeah, it's like the Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
Where he goes looking for his father.
Yes.
Yeah, no, really, really great. Pixar firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. That film. Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. I'll just mention. I'll just cherry pick a few of these. The Post, Spielberg, brilliant. That's really good. It's one of those films where you go, oh, of course it's a Spielberg film because, like, the supporting cast is ridiculous. Like, a minor player that would be played by a nobody in most other films. In this, it's played by Bob Odenkirk or Alison Brie or David Cross.
Yeah.
Or, it's just wall to wall amazing actors all there to work with Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
There's some really great shots of like the printing press that are really, really classy, just a classy film.
Okay.
I mean, the story itself, I already knew because I'd just watched the massive 15-hour long Vietnam documentary. So I knew all about the subject matter in this, basically about information that they knew the Vietnam War was not going to be winnable, but they covered it up. And it's all about that conspiracy and stuff. Yeah. So that's really great. That's well worth seeing. Blah, 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 blah. What else we got? Oh, I, Tonya is really good. This is about Tonya Harding, the ice skater. This is Margot Robbie's was like going to be her big Oscar vehicle. It was actually Alison Janney that bagged it, though.
Yeah.
Supporting actress. And she's brilliant in it. Fag out, parrot on her shoulder, like just calling her daughter a cunt and all this. Like, it's like properly full on. But this is, honestly, Margot Robbie needs to get some credit for this, because it's like her Raging Bull. You know, she's absolutely knockout in it. She's like playing real trash in it, but she's a great skater, the character of Tonya Harding, the real life person she's based on. God knows how they did it. It's almost seamless. There must be some CGI on the face stuff going on.
Count Dooku'd her, where it's for some of them she did do some of it, but she didn't do the triple spins and stuff. That's somebody else doing that with her face.
Yeah, the triple axle.
Yeah,
which is apparently hardly anyone can do. She did it loads. But just wouldn't get the recognition because they just didn't like the look of her, you know, despite the amazing skating that she does. And I really got swept up in it. And it's just unfortunate that it was all kind of clouded over by all this nonsense that was going on at the time.
Nonsense?
To put it
bluntly. That's underplaying it slightly, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it was horrific. It was it was proper crime happening. Yeah, no doubt about it. But that's streaming on Amazon now, so well worth a look.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. As is the Post, I believe. Last time I looked.
Ooh.
Yeah. So there's some good stuff. That honestly, it's just been so much good stuff streaming now. I'll finish it off, I think, with Revenge, which is a I Spit on Your Grave, basicgoing John told me. Yeah, it's basically that. Guy brings girl back. They're going hunting. She's there. Obviously, his bit on the side. His hunting mates turn up, and there's a bit of a rape, and she basically finds herself out in the middle of nowhere, slowly getting revenge on these assholes that were going to basically leave her for dead. And it's very exploitation. There's just some excellent imagery in it, though, involving peyote and hallucinogenics and stuff. And it's got a cool soundtrack. And yeah, it's great.
It's very old school. I found it was really. There was a ton of there's a movie called Handgun that I remember from the 80s that was just, holy fuck, have I just seen that? And it was basically this. And there were a few.
You saw this one?
Yeah, I've seen this. Yeah.
Yeah, you have. Ah, cool.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Difficult subject matter, but as a piece of art.
Yeah, just how fucking badass does she look when she's got that fucking thing on her chest, on her stomach?
Thing on her stomach. Yes.
Like
that's
the
a
eagle.
Massive understatement. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so cool.
And she has a small accident and is left with something on her stomach.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying not to give the whole game away here.
Yeah, sure.
But the way she pulls it off, it's just so cool. And and the blood, there's just so much blood, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, that's really worth checking out, I think. And I'll leave it there. There's loads more I could go into, but nothing that's probably going to hit my top 10 this year, I would imagine. But I think I've mentioned everything that might. That's it. I'm happy to leave it there. Thanks for listening to the Not Watching Podcast, part of the Not Listening Podcast Network, where you can also find the Not Playing Podcast, where we talk about video games, and the Not Listening Podcast, where you can hear Adam and Co talk about all kinds of nonsensical nonsense. You can email us at notwatchingpodcast@gmail.com, or you can tweet at or follow us on Twitter at notwatchingpod. You can find the show notes for all our shows at notlistening.co.uk, and if you like what you've heard here, please do leave us a review. Anyway, that's all for now. Until next time, bye!